You see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles. And you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the resistance. Friday, October 12th, we're live right here for the next 3 hours. I'm Dean Obeidallah. I hope to be your MBFF. That's right, MBFF offer. I'm there for you. I'm on Twitter at Dean Obeidallah or Facebook.com/Dean of Radio, where you can actually watch at the exact same time, if you were so interested, this monologue, these exact words, but you can see me saying them if that means anything to you. They're there. Plus, more importantly, maybe more fun, like in the third hour, we do our What Just Happened segment. We'll have Tina Dupuis here and a very funny comedian, Dustin Chafin. You can watch that live. Drop me an email. I'm around all weekend, although it's a busy weekend. Dean at deanofradio.com. And daily reminder, 25 days into the most important election of our lives. If you want a Congress that will actually address climate change, as opposed to one controlled by climate change deniers owned by corporations who don't care about our environment so they get more campaign donations, there's one thing you can do. Vote Democratic. Vote Democratic to save America. Or conversely, save America, vote Democratic. Election day is our judgment day, 25 days. It is real, unreal. So why is it going to be a busy weekend? If you hear me say it's a busy weekend, well, tonight is night 2 and tomorrow is night 3 of the New York Arab American Comedy Festival. I co-produced with my buddy Maysoon Zai, our 15th year. Last night was night number 1. It went really well, a lot of fun. Tonight, 2 shows. Tomorrow, 2 more shows at Gotham Comedy Club here in Midtown Manhattan. Actually, sort of West Chelsea area, 23rd and 7th. If you go to ArabComedy.com, you can find out all the information. That's ArabComedy.com. And can give you $5 off promo code because it's all about the haggling. That's what we're about. If you go to the Gotham website and you buy tickets in advance and use promo code FEST15, F-E-S-T-15, 5 smackaroos off any ticket. And we were picked as one of the 5 things to see over the weekend by New York Times in their comedy section. So we're really happy about that. Speaking of comedy, yesterday we didn't talk about Kanye, and I'm very happy we didn't, but I'm glad the late night comedians had some fun. So here's Jimmy Kimmel. First, a quick joke, and then a longer joke on it. Let's hear Jimmy Kimmel talking about comedy in the time of Trump. Let's hear clip number 1, please.
You know, there's a question I get asked a lot, and it's now that we have this president, people ask, is it easy now? It must be easy to write jokes. There's so much material. The jokes must write themselves. And it's not true. We still write the jokes ourselves. And in fact, in a way, it makes it harder to be funny when nonsense and stupidity is pouring on your head at all times. But so the jokes do not write themselves, or should I say, they did not write themselves until today, when Kanye West visited the White House. And, you know, I kind of feel like every day I say, oh, it was a crazy day. Today was the craziest day. This was something special.
And it was something special. While the death toll is literally climbing in Florida, Donald Trump is gallivanting with Kid Rock and Kanye West. I'm thinking that Trump doesn't care about Mexico Beach that got destroyed in Florida because he thinks Mexico Beach is in Mexico. So it's like, who cares about the Mexicans? They're going to pay for the wall. They can deduct it. It's Florida, you moron, and Americans are dying. And then here was a longer joke by Kimmel where he plays a little bit of Kanye. And I don't think the audience had heard it before this, and it's some big laughs. Here's clip number 2, please.
Kid Rock was at the White House today, too. And there's a hurricane going on. Donald Trump is such a monumental narcissist that any famous person who puts on a red hat gets a visit and plenty of time for one-on-one.
The dopest cars, the most amazing. I don't really say dope. I don't say negative words and try to flip them. We just say positive, lovely, divine, universal words. So the flyest, freshest, most amazing car. And what we want to start with is, I brought a gift with me right here. This right here is the iPlane 1. It's a hydrogen-powered airplane, and this is what our president should be flying in. Look at this shit. If he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes.
You know, I don't even know if that plane exists, but it runs on hydrogen. I think Kanye just pitched him the Hindenburg.
And the whole audience organically laughed at Trump going, because Kanye goes, if he doesn't look good, we don't look good, which I think was the Vidal Sassoon, their tagline for years. If you're a little older, you know that. But then Trump goes, yeah, it's true. If I don't look good, the whole thing, and the whole crowd just laughs at it. On a slightly more scary point here, you know, the Republicans, their talking point, we've covered it the last week, has been Democrats are an angry mob and they're going to come and kill Republicans, I guess. But we're an angry mob. And again, next week, if you don't hear it anymore, it's because polling has shown that it has no impact, because they just throw things out there and they hope something gets a little bit of traction. Well, you want to hear violent imagery? Not even subtle. Here is today the Republican candidate for governor in Pennsylvania. This is not doctored. This is now. This is not like we found it from 3 years ago. This is now going viral. Him talking about Governor Wolf, the Democrat he's running against, and what he wants to do to the guy. And I'm not kidding. Here's Scott Wagner, clip number 3.
Well, Governor Wolf, let me tell you, between now and November 6th, you better put a catcher's mask on your face, because I'm going to stomp all over your face with golf spikes, because I'm going to win this for the state of Pennsylvania, and we're throwing you out of office.
I'm going to stomp all over your face with golf spikes? First of all, that is beyond violent imagery. That is literally saying I'm going. It's not even metaphorical. It's actually a threat. He goes, I'm going to get golf spikes and stomp on your face. Secondly, only a Republican would threaten someone with golf spikes. You know, that's the kind of threat a Republican. I'm surprised he didn't go like, and my butler is going to come to your house with his walking cane and throw Grey Poupon at you. How dare you? And then we're going to play 18 holes of golf and laugh at people of color. I mean, it's unreal. And we're the bad guys. Here's a Republican candidate for governor. Who is their nominee? Now, I raise that because on some level, I think Donald Trump, you might hear something like that from Donald Trump coming up. And there's a reason why. And the reason is Donald Trump's ratings are dropping. And now Fox News is dropping him. And wait, if you haven't heard this, this is real. This is not an exaggeration. This is not me hopefully thinking about this. And it's not just the enjoyment of Trump not being on Fox News as much. It actually could impact the midterm elections. And let me play it out for you here, because this is public. These are not just my words. Political experts and Republicans interviewed by Politico are concerned about what's going on with Fox News now, little by little not covering Trump. And we all know, first of all, let's enjoy the fact Trump loves ratings. When Arnold Schwarzenegger did not do well as the host of The Apprentice when Trump left, they had Trump tweeting, wow, the ratings are in, and Arnold Schwarzenegger got swamped or destroyed. Why he had to put or destroyed, I don't know. But in any event, by comparison to the ratings machine, DJT, which is him, DJT, just unreal. That's just stupid. In any event, that's what he really tweeted. And you know he loves ratings. Well, something happened. The truth is, in 2017, when Trump did ratings, do you want to know what kind of numbers it got on Fox News? It got, on average, 4 million viewers or above. That is remarkable on cable news numbers. That's not big for network TV as much, but for cable news, 4 million plus is remarkable. So Fox News covered all of his rallies. Well, what's going on now? And we can read into this. Does this show a lack of intensity of his supporters or not? In 2018, it has not even come close to that number. Recently, his ratings have gone from 4 million to 2.5 million viewers for the rally when he would cover them wall to wall. That's still good numbers, but compared to Fox's normal broadcast schedule that they're preempting it for Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity, it's not as good anymore. In fact, last quarter, Tucker Carlson averaged 2.8 million compared to Trump's 2.5 million. But more importantly, now the ratings, like this week, I just looked at the ratings of Tucker Carlson. He got 3.4 million viewers, Tucker, on Tuesday and 3.7 million on Wednesday, meaning carrying a Trump rally means 1 million less viewers. And that in turn means less revenue for the network. 1 million less people, you can't charge as much. And folks, ladies and gentlemen, this makes a great point. Something I've talked about, something my friend John Fugelsang has talked about. The bias in the media, you're seeing it here. It is not left. It is not towards the right. The media bias of mainstream media is towards money. That's where their bias goes. And I've said this and others as well. Fox News shows Trump and gives them the red meat they want because he makes them money. And we always said, well, if he got less ratings, maybe they wouldn't cover him as much, and sort of tongue-in-cheek thinking that could never happen. It is happening. So now they're not covering the rallies, and it's very, very concerning. An article in Politico yesterday and then a bunch of other places said that the Trump White House has vowed to look into this decision. I'm not kidding. Why is Fox News not broadcasting their rallies wall to wall the way they want them to? And Republican strategists have told the media point blank, so it's not me, it's them saying this hurts the platform that they were going to use to help candidates, Republicans running in the midterm elections, to get out there. It hurts Trump's bullhorn that he wants to rally his base around one specific message. It undermines that. And according to Politico, Bill Shine, who now works for Trump, used to be in Fox News as a big executive. They're expecting Bill Shine to reach out to Fox News to go, why aren't you covering his rallies? And what's going on is now he's doing so many rallies, Trump, he's actually sticking to sort of a script. He meanders a little, but he meanders in a way that's predictable. It's become boring. It's become boring even to his fans who go, I've seen this. I love Seinfeld. I can only watch the same episode so many times until I go, I'm not going to watch that episode again. That's what's going on. And this makes sense now why Donald Trump on Tuesday at his rally cheered by name, praising Fox News hosts. He praised Jeannie Pirro, Lou Dobbs, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Steve Doocy, whatever his name is, Brian Kilmeade. All of them by name, I think, so they would cover him more because they'd stopped covering it. And this is why when Wednesday they did not cover his rally, Fox News didn't cover it. What did Trump do Thursday morning? He called into Fox and Friends just to get on TV. And he meandered for 45 minutes by a phone call. And that's not good TV either because it's just a box of a picture of a guy and it's Trump. And even his supporters at some point are not going to like that. And people are like, oh, a couple days ago or yesterday, why did Trump suddenly announce he's going on 60 Minutes? Because Fox News is not covering him the way he wants and he can't get his message. He's about ratings. He's about trying to control the narrative. He's losing control when they're not covering him. So all of a sudden, Kanye West makes sense in a different way. It was a desperate attempt to get ratings. And I'm worried, what's next for Trump to get ratings? Is he going to go full Putin? Are we going to have him shirtless on a horse? Or worse, sex tape? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But in any event, you never know. I hate the mental imagery myself. But here's the seriousness of this. And this is what Republican staffers are saying. Here's a Republican campaign staffer saying of this, quote, we tend to see lots of new signups and small dollar donations when Trump rallies are covered of the candidates. Quote, there's obviously folks streaming online, but being able to be on stage with the president in front of a full primetime audience is huge for the campaigns trying to reach conservatives across the country who then have opened their wallets and made contributions. So this is much more than us enjoying Fox News saying, even our listeners, our viewers are tired of you. It's hurting the candidates in their ability to fundraise and get their message and raise their profile of these candidates. This is actually real. This is not a game here. And look at the contract. Beto O'Rourke just broke all the records today. We found him raised over $30 million this quarter. And he's on TV because they love him. So a source close to Trump said that this is a huge loss on state and local levels for Republicans. And they're not getting any other cable coverage because they've made their base Fox News. So CNN, they send a reporter. MS sends a reporter. But they don't run it live. They play one clip. And that one clip tends to be something inflammatory because the rest of the rallies are boring. They're just normal stump speech at this point. So the question I have for you, and it's Friday, and we have a lot of guests tonight. So any topic you want to talk about in this first hour, I'm open to anything from the week. But what do you think Trump will do? He needs to be on TV. One, he's a narcissist. It's part of his ego. Second, politically, he understands this is very, very important for him. And not being on TV is going to hurt him. And I wonder what he will do so desperately to get press. Will he bring Kanye West to rallies? I mean, you've got to do that stuff. Will he wrestle a bear? Anything. And in turn, this is going to hurt the Republicans and help us. You know, polling is pretty good in the House races. The Senate races, I wish they were better, but they are neck and neck in key race after key race. Beto O'Rourke down in a few polls. A new poll today. He's up by 3, a respected poll. So I have no idea what's going on in Texas. I think we're all rooting for Beto O'Rourke to win this race. But him losing this coverage, I think, is actually important. And I think you're going to try to see Trump reach out. You might even see him on CNN or MSNBC, which is something Anthony Scaramucci, when I interviewed him about 6 months ago, said he told Trump months ago stopped just going on Fox, going to other places, and Trump told him, forget it. No, I'm not doing that because you're going to reach more people. So I'd love to hear what you think. 866-997-4748, 866-997-4748. You're my guest at the top of the hour. Let's talk about things. If you want to talk about, some people were calling yesterday about Kanye. I really didn't get into it, especially if you're African American. To me, and here's my view, and you tell me what you think. I don't think Donald Trump had Kanye West there to get African American support. Because if he wanted African American support, he would actually have leaders from the black community. And some may have went to work on issues if they worked in advance and they go, okay, we're going to talk about it here, maybe criminal justice reform or education, whatever it might be. If Donald Trump wanted to reach African Americans, he would have had leaders from the community. He didn't, folks. That was a dog and pony show for white voters, for Trump's base. So they can say, hey, Trump's not racist. He invites Kanye West into the Oval Office and talks to him and lets him talk. He can't be racist. To me, that's what it's about. And today, I didn't read this. T.I., who's a rapper, who's a good friend of Kanye West, he put out a statement and he just destroyed his friend Kanye West. And part of it, he said, from what I can gather, this is the most repulsive, disgraceful, embarrassing act of desperation and auctioning off of one's soul to gain power I've ever seen. Adding, this is all about Kanye from T.I., you ass-kissing and bootlicking on a whole new level, and I refuse to associate myself with someone so vile, weak, and inconsiderate to the effect that he has on the greater good of all of our people. So you have him outraged. You have T.I., countless African Americans, because you're getting the sense that he brought Kanye there to bring African Americans over. That's not at all. Kanye, who's Kanye going to bring anyone over? It's going to be, he's hoping white people who may be like, oh, maybe he's a racist, but oh, look, he's got Kanye there. To me, that's what it's about. And I could be wrong. And look, right after the meeting with Kanye went to the Apple store in D.C., jumped up on the table, gave a speech. This is all true, not a joke. And then finished the speech by saying, I'm going off to Africa. It seems like Kanye West, and I'm not a mental health expert, and I'm not mocking when I say this, has some mental challenges. And Donald Trump used someone who is mentally challenged right now or going through difficult times to be a prop to help his campaign. And to me, it's just another level of vileness. I actually feel sorry for Kanye in some level. And you might say he knows what he's doing. I'm not sure. I watched a big chunk of what he said, and that was not a rational person. It was not an insane person. It seemed to be just someone struggling through things. And there's Trump using him. So I'd love to hear from you, 866-997-4748. You're my guest. If there's some issues we missed this week, I'd love to hear from you. Because after this hour, we have 2 candidates coming in for Congress. We're trying to get a lot of congressional candidates on between now and November 6th. It's so important. We have one coming on from Ohio who's running against Jim Jordan. That Jim Jordan, the horrible Jim Jordan, Freedom Caucus founder. And then Tom Malinkowski from New Jersey who's running against Leonard Lance. And that's a seat we got to pick up. And we're going to have a lot of candidates from now to November 6th to get out there. So if you hear them, if you like them, if you have family or friends in those districts, you tell them, hey, do this, or send them money. It's up to you. Let's take a break, come back. You're the guest for right to the top of the hour right here on the Dean Obidala Show. November 6, 2018 isn't just election day. It is judgment day for progressives and our vision of this country.
Don't go anywhere. This is the Dean Obidala Show on SiriusXM Progress 127. You've heard Dean's thoughts.
Now it's your turn.
866-99-SIRIUS. 866-997-4748. This is the Dean Obadala Show.
On Sirius XM Progress 127.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show. We're live right here. So I'm sure we haven't covered on the show, and we should, and I think we'll cover it next week. Jamal Khashoggi, who was the reporter, journalist for the Washington Post from Saudi, who was killed. They just said breaking news on CNN, and I guess it come out a short time ago, but now apparently CNN is confirming that the audio of this journalist being killed was captured by his Apple Watch, and they have audio of it, which is, did Khashoggi know they were trying to kill him, so he just pressed recording? Or does your Apple Watch record everything and you don't know it? Or is there a way for your Apple Watch to record things and the government can get into it? They did this in Turkey. So we'll find out more about that. You know, there's a lot of calls about voter suppression, and I was debating talking about what's going on in Georgia, and I thought maybe we'd wait for Monday because sometimes Friday people are in a lighter mood, and I thought the other story was a little bit lighter. But let me just touch on this in a second, then we'll get to the calls here, because what's going on in Georgia, I don't want to talk about it in a way that it should depress you. And I can see Jeff said, and Jeff, I'll take your call in a second. He goes, I'm a little down by reading about this. There's a reason why the Democrats and Hillary didn't talk about voter fraud, voter suppression going on. And this is from people in the campaign. And they told me, and I'm just sharing what they told me, that polling showed that when Democrats were told about voter suppression going on and voter ID laws that were literally disenfranchising people from voting, it didn't work the Democrats' base up more. It actually made people select not to vote, thinking either it's not worth it or I'm not going to go down there and be embarrassed in front of everyone. So that's why because I said to people who worked in the Hillary campaign afterwards, why didn't you talk about that issue? And they told me they were going to, but polling said not to. And Jeff's point here, and in the end, I'll take your call in 1 second, Jeff, but you'll read this, is exactly why. He says, I'm a little down because of the voter suppression in Georgia. And that's exactly, and I cannot rewire us to say if that's what you feel when you read about it, but I hope it actually will flip that sense to be more outraged by this and go, look at the history of African Americans who gave their life just for simply to cast a ballot, and some white allies. We had Professor Carol Anderson on, her great book about One Person, No Vote, which just came out, and I so encourage people to read it, about the history of African Americans just having equality to vote. And if you need some motivation, think about, and it's in this book document, and I wish I had his name in front of me, and this when we'll do this segment on Monday, we'll talk about it more. African American man, they said, you can register to vote. He went down, he voted. The next day they came to his house, knocked on his door, these white supremacists. He walked out on his stoop and they just shot him to death and killed him. He was a military veteran who served in World War II. No one was ever caught or tried with that. There are countless stories of African Americans being lynched simply for wanting to vote. So even if you're not black, don't get down by this. Fight in the name of their legacy, of their sacrifice. Get out there and fight even harder against these laws, because they want to do now what they did to African Americans before laws like the Voting Rights Act and before any prohibitions on literacy tests and poll taxes. They're trying to go back. And as Carol Anderson in her great book, and maybe we're going to replay that interview because I think it's so important, because it's uplifting but stunning at the same time. The way they defended these laws to disenfranchise African Americans, none of the laws said black people can't vote. They knew they couldn't do that. But the poll tax, they understood the impact. They understood what the literacy test, the literacy test that you had to answer questions, and how African Americans were living in areas where there was no funding for their schools, so they weren't getting the education they needed to answer these questions. Or they would ask different questions to white and black people, and no one knew it, because you weren't standing there when a white and black person were there. You're black alone, and they'd ask you really tough questions. A white person asked you the easiest question of all, like, who's our president? First president, Washington, bingo, you can vote. You can register. So, but at the same time, their arguments were just like voter ID laws. They're on their face, they seem plausible. Like the literacy test that Professor Anderson talked about. The argument is, shouldn't you know something about our Constitution if you're going to vote? Well, to the ear, that sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Just like, shouldn't you have voter ID? Shouldn't you have to give ID before you can vote to ensure that you're the same person? to the ear, that sounds fine. But it's the impact, the practical real-world impact, which was horrifically racist. And that was the intention. At the time, it was Democrats who did that in the South, but they were conservatives first, Democrats second, because they remained conservatives and became Republicans after 1964. So let's not play games when I get these Trumpers called, Democrats did this. Yeah, conservatives did that. Liberals were not doing that. Liberals gave their life to fight for equality, for voting. So what's going on in Associated Press came out and made more news today. At least 53,000 voter registration applications in Georgia have been held back for additional screening, meaning they're potentially going to be removed and not being able to vote of these. And you're going to say, well, I guess on the face they didn't comply with the law. Well, folks, 70% of the 53,000 applications being held back are black. You don't get this happenstance. This is how voter ID, and Brian Kemp, the Republican running against Stacey Abrams in Georgia, Carol Anderson wrote her book, probably filed it 3-4 months ago. It's out now. She talks about two Republicans being the worst in using voter ID laws and voter purge to disenfranchise black people. One, Chris Kobach in Kansas, who's now the GOP candidate there. And two, Brian Kemp in Georgia. And that's way before he got this nomination. And she was warning us how bad these people were. And if either one wins for governor, one's going to run for president, no doubt, in the future as a Republican. So let's go to Jeff, who's been waiting here as my little diatribe. Jeff, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Dean. First-time caller, long-time listener. I appreciate you taking my call.
Sure. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, my friend. Share your view and your concerns.
I think you touched on about everything that I was thinking about when it came to Georgia. I mean, I'm in Indiana. I've been purged twice since November of 2016.
Tell people how that happened. You were purged twice, because I've not talked to someone who was actually purged from the voter rolls. How did it happen? How did it go down?
In February of 2017, I checked my voter registration, and I was no longer registered.
And when was the last time, Jeff? When's the last time you had voted before that?
I've never missed any election.
Oh my God! All right, continue, please. This is off the charts. Go ahead, please.
Well, they said that the reason they were doing it is if you hadn't voted in several elections through several years,
right?
And that they were supposed to be sending out cards to people to notify them that they had been removed. Well, I've lived in the same house for the last 10 years. I never received a card. I'm a registered Democrat.
I was going to ask you that. Does your party register? Did you register in either party? So that kind of answers a little bit of it. Continue, please. And so what happened? So you found this out the first time, and what'd you do?
I got really upset, and I re-registered immediately. And I actually called. I called the head of the Democratic office here in my town to find out what they were going to be doing about this, and does everybody know they've done this? Because I was concerned more of some of the elderly, because we live in a very elderly town. And he says, I've never heard anything about this. I go, you've not heard anything about it? How have you not heard anything about this? I said, no, they've been purging since November of 2016. And I said, something's got to be done. I mean, you got to get the word out and make sure everybody's, re-registered. Well, I re-registered, and then 6 months later, I checked it again, and they purged me again.
Did they give you any reasoning whatsoever?
I never got a note, never got anything. And then I kept following it in the news for the state, and I just wondered, I could see it going on. I know there's some lawsuits now that have
right. What am I looking up while you were speaking here? Unless it's changed, it seems in June of this year, a federal judge blocked the voter purge law, but I don't know if it got reinstated, because I'm just looking quickly here and I saw this. And vote no on. So is there a referendum on the ballot this year in your state on this issue?
I don't think so. I don't know if you're reading the same story I was with Greg Palast.
No. I'm reading various stories here. And what's interesting? A federal court had temporarily blocked the implementation of a new Indiana law on voter purge, but the old one was in effect. And after that decision in June, a few days later, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld Ohio's voter purge law, which I think we talked about on the show right after that happened. And I warned people, and I've kept warning people over and over here, even if you have not voted in the last few years, make sure your voter registration is still valid. But Jeff is saying, this guy, you voted every time and they purged you. And I wasn't warning everybody who's a registered Democrat to make sure, because these guys are playing some crappy games in Indiana. Because you have a very competitive Senate race going on with Joe Donnelly there, right, in DeWine?
Right. Yeah, it's pretty heated, and I don't know where that's going to go. I think the numbers are pretty close right now. So,
they're dead even again. I mean, Donnelly's up slightly, like 1 or 2 points, but those are all margin of error, which means it's just about turnout. It's going to be, so if they can say they can disenfranchise, and you go, and if you don't know you've been purged, folks, essentially means if you're purged, it means as if you're not registered at all. You're not. You walk in to vote, and they go, sorry, you're not registered. They go, well, I want to register now. Depending on your state, maybe 15 days before you had to register or 30 days before, and they go, sorry, you can't vote this time. You can vote in the future. And that's what they're going to do. So if they can knock out 50,000 voters like they're trying to do in Georgia, that can tip a close election easily on a statewide basis. 50,000 is nothing. I mean, it's not nothing. I mean, it is extremely significant. It's not purging 800 people. 50,000 in Georgia, that can swing countless elections for Congress, for Assembly, for state Senate as well. I mean, this is a lot of votes they're talking about. So, go ahead.
Well, Dean, here's the other thing. On Monday, I went in to check my voter registration, and the website was locked up. You couldn't check it.
Well, they are playing some crazy games in this state of Mike Pence there. And, you know, it's not Pence anymore, obviously, but it's and his brother's running for Congress. I had his Democratic opponent on. Do you know offhand when your voter registration deadline is? I'm trying to look it up really quickly before.
It was Tuesday.
This Tuesday? Last Tuesday, yes. So many states were the 9th.
So Monday they started playing games with the website, throttling it down or whatever, so they weren't letting people to go in and check.
This is unbelievable.
I've been checking every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, like clockwork, I've been checking. And so I thought, I'm going to check this one last day, the day before.
Right.
And I don't know if everybody was just hammering the website and they were having issues and it was crashing, but I never could check it. And I thought if I go in today, I could check it. But here's the thing. I got screenshots, and I've got a card. So
I think you're in a good position. But, Jeff, what we're going to do, and I already talked to Matt, my producer, about it, as we get closer to Election Day, we're going to have a segment, if not a whole hour special, but a segment with an attorney who does election law. We did this before, but from the NAACP Legal Defense Fund or from ACLU or the Brennan Center. So everyone knows their rights when you go down on Election Day. And if you're registered, like Jeff has documented it really well with screenshots and a card. I'm from New Jersey and I live in New York. I've registered in New York. They didn't give me a card. I just show up. And in New York, they're not going to challenge us. So, but for another state, you might have that situation and you should know your rights to make sure you can vote because they will do anything to win, the Republicans. And Donald Trump will literally do anything to win. We know that. So, but all right, Jeff, thanks for the call and thanks for sharing a very unique story. I've not heard this at all and I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dean. Have a good weekend.
You too. Let's take a quick break. Come back. We'll take more calls right here on the Dean Obeidallah Show. You're listening to the Dean Obeidallah Show, where we crush Trump's lies every single day
on Sirius XM Progress 127.